Welcome to Business Leader Breakthroughs, where we help unlock the potential in you, your teams, and your business. I'm your host, Ryan Castle, along with Dr. Mike Ashby. We'll share insights, experiences, and stories on achieving breakthrough success in business and life. In addition to a podcast, The Breakthrough is a coaching and advisory business that provides programs for business leaders, owners, and managers to develop your skills and capabilities to boost your business and enjoy a better life. To learn more, click the link in the episode show notes or go to thebreakthrough.co. Now let the breakthroughs begin. Hi there, welcome along to the podcast today. Mike, we recently ran our master event. This is an event where we bring business leaders and their teams along to work on their development. It's very much at a strategy and leadership level.
Yep.
And we had some pretty fascinating insights at that one, didn't we? We were talking about the business machine. And it's really around this concept of where people go from when they go through a startup and the different growth stages they get to. And one of our members, a very insightful man, Bob from Intech.
Skeptical Bob.
Yeah. Skeptical in a good way, but Bob came up with this idea of boringly predictable profitability.
Yeah.
And it was such a great insight, and it sounds really boring. You know, it's got the word boring in it, and it sounds boring.
Yeah.
But it was quite insightful and became a bit of a mantra for the session, didn't it?
Well, it also opened up, and one of the great things about Mastery is that it opens up some really wonderful conversations. You know, we go in there with content designed to stimulate and provoke, getting people to think about stuff that they just wouldn't think about in the ordinary course of the day. And we had, material prepared to take people through. We got onto this whole issue of stages of business and how we move the business to the next level. Genuinely and it was actually quite surprising and very energizing, as you say, and quite a revelation. So we put everything else to one side. We just drilled into what's involved in shifting this business from the kind of endless startup to a growth business that's achieving 20% revenue growth profitably, consistently every single year, 20% every single year. So that's a growth company. So it was a great day. It was a great couple of days.
It was. So Mike, during our mastery session, we got to talking about some of the challenges that our business leaders are facing. Could you give us some insight there?
They were typical of business owners everywhere, really. Profits are unreliable. They're almost accidental. People they don't feel like they've got control over them. There's too much drama going on in the business. It's what you might call a hot mess most of the time. We've got a saying in the office: the ragged edge of control is where the learning is. And there's not even a lot of learning. It just feels like an endless ragged edge of control. So people are always in firefighting mode. They're chasing their tails. They're what we've often called the whirlwind, where you're consumed with what's happening right here, right now. Every day seems to be a new set of problems or the same problem over and over and over again. And it's the same with profitability. We kind of have a great year and then a down year and then an okay year and then a down year. And we don't have that kind of consistency of performance. And a lot of business owners know that it's actually about where things go wrong is that people don't follow the process. And that's because they don't have a culture of process management. So they're the challenges that people have. I've got these systems. I think I've got these systems. At least I would have these systems if I had enough time, if I wasn't so busy fighting fires and chasing my tail, which is quite difficult to do at the same time. I would have these systems. Or they don't have a product that lends itself to that. But they're not machines. They are artistic creations that who knows what it's going to look like tomorrow.
Absolutely. And at our master event, one of the owners was saying our profit fluctuates like 100,000 positive, negative every month, and we never really quite know where it's going to be. And that's a tough way to run a business. Very challenging around cash flow. Very hard when you're leading a team and things are up and down all the time.
Yeah. And I love the other description that one guy, when we said, where's your company at? What's your company like? And one guy very sadly said, it's like a year 3 apprentice. All they care about is beer and cars. And it was kind of, it's such a story about this is not a machine. This is just an adolescent.
Yeah. And I recall one of our members, also called Mike, great name, of course. And Mike had this hotbed of mess, I think, in all sorts of areas. He had it in his personal life, in the sense that he wasn't clear on any of the things that he was trying to achieve personally or in his own life. And then he was what we'd call a pioneer. He had no shortage of ideas, and he had, one of his ideas was the idea that could really go, almost galactic for him.
Yeah.
It was the one that, it was a rentals-based business. It had the ability to deliver consistent revenue. It had serious growth opportunity, but he was so busy running around trying to put almost fingers in the dam of the other good ideas that he'd had, that he wasn't getting to that. It wasn't taking off, and it wasn't helping.
Yeah.
Once he got back to some focus with our help, helped him identify really where it was that could be done, and he could actually build some process and some consistency around that business, things really took off for him.
Yeah, and in a way it's the journey from entrepreneur to manager.
Yes.
We're very attached to the idea of entrepreneur, and we think of management as being boring, but that's the boringly consistently profitable piece. So in a way, shifting from being a kind of an entrepreneur, business owner, founder, etc., to becoming genuinely a managing director with the emphasis on the managing, that's a really critical part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. So I think in the old world, we think about almost this, we're romanticised about the idea of this, like, we're entrepreneurs and everything's changing every day and it's all brand new, and it's actually a load of bollocks. In my view, it kind of sounds cool, but in terms of delivering a consistent business, not very good. So we keep talking about how agile we are and how we jump from
growth
things.
is chaotic. And
We're always
drama.
zigging and zagging across all these different things that are going on. And whilst it sounds romantic, the reality is not so much.
And the outcomes are not romantic either. And the outcomes are huge amounts of adrenaline, which we get addicted to and go charging around, kind of, reinventing wheels, putting out fires, just noise and drama, the hot mess, right? The hot mess. And the new world, the different way of thinking about that is it's the startups that are chaotic. If you're in chaos, you're a startup. Growth companies are boring. Boring in the sense of they are predictable, they are consistent, they are effective, they are like a champion team.
Yes.
Champion team. Sometimes people say of a team like the All Blacks, they're winning so much, it's boring.
Do you know what, those fans are hard to please, because if they, on the odd occasion they lose, it's like a national disaster, and then they win too much and people are complaining that you're boring.
And the reason they win so often, that any champion team wins so often, is because they've worked out their method, what's their game plan, and they deliver on that game plan consistently, rigorously. They don't get distracted, they don't get knocked off. When teams like the All Blacks lose, it's because an opposition has been able to knock them off their game plan. So boring is in. Boring, predictable, managed, effective, efficient, that's in.
Yep. And not constantly every day having to do is this a good idea? Should we do this? Shouldn't we? What will we go? It's like actually knowing what you're going to do each day, each week, each month, and going out and executing it with perfection.
You need to go through that startup mode.
You do.
And that's the phase, isn't it? What does that phase look like?
Look, I think at the start, you're really trying to figure out what's going to work. So you do tend to explore a lot of ideas. You're really trying to figure out what's the right product or service, what's the right customer segments we should be doing this with, who should we be partnering with, who are our suppliers, what team do we need on board, because you often don't know that at the startup stage either. So you're really trying to figure out that piece. You're going, what's my marketing strategy? How do I connect with the people that I want to be selling to? So you've got a huge number of unknowns, and you're almost trying to go through and fill in the boxes of going, we could do it that way, we could do it that way, and kind of get it sorted.
We're looking for the method.
We are looking for the method. We get distracted in that startup zone because every dollar looks like a good dollar. Yeah. And we end up taking risks because we have to at that stage, because we haven't got a known bet yet. So we tend to be putting $1 here and $1 there, and that is part of the startup phase. But it's not how you grow a business.
No. Yeah. And the key thing in that boundary is and you can be in startup for a long time. In fact, I look at businesses and they've actually been in startup for 30 years. We've been in startup for a long time. But the key to getting to that next level is that what are the characteristics of a growth company, a company that's growing 20%, profitably growing 20% a year? It's systems, it's processes, it's policies, it's having standard operating procedures, it's being focused on efficiency. It's not entrepreneurial, it's about management. They're not zigging and zagging and chasing because they don't have any fires to put out anymore, because they have already worked out how to prevent fires from breaking out. They're just working on consistent, superior execution of core processes, just like a champion team. So I guess the trick in that stuff is you've got to do that startup stuff to find the product, to find the method. And it doesn't kind of stop until you find the method, because those, all the other ways don't quite work. They work for a little time and they're occasionally profitable, but they don't give you that consistency. So when you find the method, you've got to lock in on it, you've got to really focus on that, simplify it, and then practice it boringly consistently. The great teams, they have a game plan. They know exactly, Steve Hansen talked about the All Blacks. He said, our job is to make things totally simple so that when the players are in the moment, they don't have to think about it. They know exactly what to do and how to do it. So focus, simplicity, simplify, and practice.
Yeah, I think that's a great framework. Focus, what is going to work for us.
Yep.
Make it really simple so not only you as the owner or you as the leaders in the senior team can follow it, but someone in that team, and then even more importantly, someone joining the team has a really clear understanding of what's required to be done. You don't have this situation where someone departs and all the knowledge of how something's done walks out the door.
Even better, that knowledge is actually on a hard drive or in the cloud. Actually, it's automated. That's the ultimate in being able to kind of do the practice, is because it's automated.
Yeah. So if we were to put a number on what good profitability would look like, profitable growth, each year, what should a growth company be thinking about?
Oh, I think anything above 20% revenue growth and it would delivering profit each of those years. So 20% profitable growth. I think that's in fact technically that's called a high growth company, and it doesn't sound like much, but every year, within 5 years, it's doubled the business and consistently profitable as well.
Yeah, and look, people, please don't get sideswiped by what we refer to as business porn. The scenario where we pick up the latest business news and we see that WhatsApp's being bought for billions of dollars, and suddenly we're thinking
on 27 cents revenue.
Yeah, if you're lucky. So we're talking about how most of the world operates in a business economic sense. If you're achieving 20% growth year on year, the compounding factor of that, you have got a seriously high growth company. And of course, the trick is to do it profitably.
Yeah, and one that's really valuable. We were just doing a piece on kind of creating a sellable business, and that's exactly what it's about. It is creating those methods, that focus, that simplicity, that practice, and that growth, that track record of growth.
So look, how did this apply to us? We've been through an experience of this quite recently. We've developed a new product called the Active Management Program. We'd been through the startup phase, and really that product, it wasn't a product, it was a slightly different part of the market that we'd traditionally dealt with. And we had to go through that. We had to figure out what was the product, how was it going to address the needs of the market, because if your product's a great product but it doesn't address the need in market, not much point.
Nope.
We had to figure out what was the technology we could use to deliver that. It's blended learning, so there's technology platforms that go along with the in-person experience. And then we had this piece we had to figure out was, it was really successful for us straight away, and we immediately ran out of capacity. We could not deliver to the number of people that wanted it. So we had to go out and figure out how to build a partner channel. And that has taken a lot of time, effort, and consistency around doing that. But it was about getting the little things right.
It was also about what we stopped doing. We made the agreement at a board meeting within a few months of starting. We thought, oh yeah, this is it. This has got momentum. This is going somewhere. And one of the things that we've had to do we did it then, we've done it again and again and again and again, we've had to stop doing the exciting little things. And you and I have both had conversations where we've said, sounds good, which is shorthand for good, not great.
Yep.
And the enemy of the great idea is the good idea. So we've had to hold each other to account around, yeah, that could work. And you know, I'm in the pioneer mode. I like shiny new things, right?
He does.
I do. I like shiny new things. So you know, I have to kind of restrain myself. I've got this plan for China. Have I talked?
You have?
I have. But I've stopped talking about that, haven't I? I haven't mentioned it for weeks now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reasonably good. Reasonably contained.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes we've got to actually put those, to get the growth, you absolutely have to put those things aside. And then we've got to do the grind, I call it. And this is where, so I was out went fishing a few weeks ago with a few mates, 300 metres out, White Island, wonderful fishing. We were looking for...
300 metres out or 300 deep?
Yes.
Out far enough to be 300 metres deep.
That's probably why I've never caught that many big fish, always too close to shore.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, long way out, 300 metres deep. And we were looking for blue nose, big fish. You go down 300 metres. There's a lot of fish down there. Most of them were not blue nose. Most of them were gemfish. And they actually only taste good smoked, but they do taste good smoked. So when you're winding them up from 300 metres, obviously the sinker is very heavy to get to the bottom. These fish are, seriously, without, they're big. And they're heavy, and at that depth, they're really heavy. And all you can do is grind. There's no other way but to grind and grind and grind, and it's a slow process. And sometimes that's what you've got to do with these, with your method, is do the hard work. Focus on the one big thing. Oh, yeah, that's right. Focus on the one big thing. In our case, that product with the channel, because that's the magic.
Yes.
That's the magic sauce. And then do everything that we need to do at every little detailed level to make this product outstanding. No holes, no flaws, no kind of users going, oh, how does that work? Taking care of the channel with much love and care, and then taking care of the technology piece as well. So, unless of course, and this is the really cool part, as the organizer of the trip, I got the E-rod,
right?
The electric reel. So actually, while all the guys were grinding around next to me, I just pushed the button. But hey,
and that's what we want to do with our business, right? We're going to have to do some manual grind to figure out what the process is, get it going, and then we can figure out how do we make that more effective and efficient in our business. And it might be about being able to automate it.
Automation.
It might be about being able to outsource part of that.
Yeah.
It might be about training someone in the business
to get it
done.
Get somebody to reel up my.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that didn't.
Didn't work.
Yeah. Do mine as well as theirs. Yeah. That didn't work.
Okay.
But because I'd organised it, because I was the founder, hey, I got the hot rod.
We've got a fantastic module on delegation. You should do it. You don't think it would work?
I don't need any lessons on delegation.
That's true. That's true. You're a master. You're a master.
I am.
You're a master. So just to recap, if we were going to approaching finding this method in our business, what would be the steps we take?
Oh well, when you get that sniff of momentum, and I can't actually tell you what that looks like. It's about the right product, and so you've got to keep experimenting until you find the product that works. It's about the right channel.
Can I say, I think the piece where I recognise we were onto a very good thing and that it was worth putting the time and effort to make it scalable was talking to customers in market.
Yeah, the feedback from customers.
And when customers go, I want that, without a lot of selling involved, when you've just...
Well, you had that experience, didn't you?
I totally did. Yep. Went to...
somebody you hadn't even met.
Correct. Never met before. First time engagement. We had a discussion around the challenges that managers and training managers presents, and within a 15-minute conversation, he was like, "I'm not quite sure what it is that you've got to sell, but I want to buy it."
Yeah, that's right.
And so I think there was, compared to other sales conversations we've been involved in, where it feels more like hard work to get people to the line. This was a
so we had a value proposition that there was clear demand for.
Yes.
And then very quickly we also found that the minute people started on this thing, they were away. And the feedback from customers who were using has just been consistently superb. You just go, every time you hear that, and one of our coaches called me yesterday to tell me about a guy who he'd sort of gone off track from the active mode, so he was going back to the start of the program and going to do it all again.
Right.
And this was a guy who has had a lot of challenges, a lot of learning challenges. He's a first-time manager, and our guy is just stunned and humbled by this fellow's approach and how much value it's changing his life. Which is so when you get that stuff, you go, okay, we're onto something.
We're validating here.
We've validated it. That's
good.
right.
Yep.
Market validation. We've validated it. The next bit is to what do we stop doing? What do we let go of? Because as we constantly talk about, this needs to be our primary focus. That we've got this offer, we need to isolate it, we need to find the right channel, and I think we've done that. Then we need to simplify. Stop selling the other stuff.
Yes.
Start really just focusing on this. I think the other part of that is actually, and this is a little note to self, stop innovating. Just stick with what we've got for a while, refine it, perfect it, practice, rather than going on to the next thing. Yeah, admittedly, I'm already having to think, we're working on AMP2, but, that little product I talked about before, the turning something into a, no, not doing that. Not doing that.
And this is one of the challenges for business leaders. They're often pioneer type people. They like ideas. They do like shiny new things.
Yep.
The self-discipline of success for business owners is to go, let's create a method, let's create a process, let's make this repeatable. And with the result being highly predictable, or boringly predictable profitability.
Boringly predictable profitability, which, wouldn't that be good?
Absolutely. I don't know. Well, we discussed this again with our mastery clients, and we said, whilst it doesn't sound very sexy to achieve that, who in the room would like it? Every single hand in the auditorium was up and going.
Yeah. And excited about it. Excited about boring. It's really cool.
Okay. So Mike, if we were to talk about what we should do and shouldn't do about this, I know some of the things we should do is we should divorce ourselves from the business.
Yeah, depersonalize it.
Yeah.
It's kind of this is not an extension of ourselves. This is actually an investment. Think about it as an investor, not as a parent.
Yeah, and I think weaning ourselves off the adrenaline. I've seen many business owners that like to swoop in with their superhero cape and
be important.
Be important, and the most common one is when they're fixing customer dissatisfaction, and they love to fly in and make it all better. God, build a process so you don't end up with dissatisfied customers in the first place.
Totally.
So much more powerful.
Yeah.
And that concept of the grind, you've got to get it done.
You've got to grind the detail.
I think as much as the self-discipline, you've got to surround yourself with people that are good at the grind.
Well, you won't. I won't do it.
No.
I just won't do that last. I'll do it 80-20. I'll do the 20% that creates 80% of the value. But there are some times, and we're big fans of that, but there are some times and some processes that have to be done to 100%. And just kill me. It would, wouldn't it?
Totally.
It would be funny to watch, but
we are very fortunate to have Wendy in our business.
Guardian.
She's a total guardian. She loves the detail. And when Wendy's coming back to me for the 423rd time on the same document, going, I think we need to change line 433. Deep breath.
The grind.
This is what we need. We need the grind. We need this
detail. The
detail.
value is in the detail.
Because this means next time we don't end up with poor decisions, people who don't know. We get that consistent customer experience. The whole. So
I used to tease her about the 164 steps. She used to organise the mastery program, and I used to tease her about the project plan in Asana that had 164 steps. And as she pointed out very gently and calmly, she said, yes, Michael, and that's why it always goes flawlessly. And she was right. I didn't have a leg to stand on after that. You've got to have that level of detail, of operational efficiency, so that it actually operates the same way every single time. Scalable means it's teachable. So, teaching our partner coaches to implement the onboarding. It's repeatable. because you know exactly what to do. That means that, and it's valuable. It actually creates value. That's what scale looks like.
I think the scale concept is the one that most helps me when I'm thinking about creating the method.
And I'll watch that.
Because when there's only 5 customers or 10 partners to be done, you know what, you can hand crank it every day. It's not particularly effective or efficient, but you can do it. When you start going, how would we deliver this to 1,000 customers? How would we interact with 10,000 partners? You go, I've got to make it scalable. I've got to have the system. I've got to have the process. I've got to have all those things to make it work.
It's a discipline. We had a great conversation at lunch yesterday about a new client, very exciting, lots of upside. It's going to be, it's going to go global, etc., and it will. And my suggestion was, we were thinking about who should do this. And I thought, well, maybe I should do this as a way of making sure. And Ryan's point was, when we've got hundreds of these programs, that is not going to be possible. So it has to be designed from the start, and mistakes made to find out what works at scale. And Ryan in particular is great, and has been from the start, of thinking about this business at scale. What does it look like when it is 100 times the size it is now, or even 10? It's still just such a big step up from me doing it myself, and the other thing I'm guilty of, just this once. Just this once. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Okay. So don't be distracted by the kind of just this once. Don't be tempted to get in and kind of do a little workaround. And you were the same. You were trying it the other day. You were talking about how you're having a conversation with a customer who's really too small for AMP.
Yes.
And you were thinking about ways that you could, and then halfway through the conversation you thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And you kind of finished the conversation neatly and thought, you're not a customer, you're not a prospect. You've got to be that rigorous, that kind of disciplined. Or we're not going to try and change it to fit that segment. We're just going to find more in the segment.
Correct.
That's the discipline.
Yep. Yeah, it sure is. And I, in that moment, I had very much startup, small business thinking going on, where I was going, how do I adapt what I've got to this micro segment standing in front of me? It's like, no way. Get back to going and talking to someone who actually can get value from what we're providing.
Because every minute we spend on that micro tweak, adapting our great idea for a good opportunity, we don't have that minute available to pursue the great idea with the great opportunities. And it is a discipline, it's a focus. Get it simple, and then practice. That's what we're doing. And we are achieving that kind of growth as a consequence. It's building the machine, and it's fun. It's fantastic.
It sure is. And look, if anyone would like some structured help around how they can start building their business machine, certainly one of the things they could look at is our Business Freedom Plan. Look, it's a program, 12-week program we've designed specifically to help business owners get some structured thinking around this. We help them with the success principles. Now, having worked with thousands of business owners, we know what works and what doesn't, so that is there. And then we take them through a framework of thinking about what actually is your business going to look like in 3 years' time. How will you make this happen? What's standing in your way? What can you use to get past it? And how do you focus? Mike, you've talked a lot about the focus, simplify, practice is important. It's exactly what this program is built around. So if you feel like that would be of help, jump on our website, go to our programs tab, and look at the Business Freedom Plan.
Have I told you about my business machine program? Have I told you about that? It's a sort of similar...
Right, this is where I cut Mike off and go, another good idea.
We've got to go.
We'll save that for another day.
We've got to go.
Thanks for joining us today. Great to have your company. Share this podcast out to your friends. Take a screenshot and share it out on social. And we look forward to catching up with you on the next one. Thanks.
Okay. Catch you later.